Season 2, Episode 6, The Stillness of Mind.
In the remote village of Inverie, cut off from the world by rugged mountains and the sea, life moved at a different pace. Life was ordinary. Inverie was the kind of place where change was a rare and unwelcome visitor. Visitors did come, occasionally, to drink in the old forge, but they would leave the next day via the ferry or hike across Knoydart, a wild and remote peninsula of Scotland. Isla had dreamt of leaving this place one day, but most of the time, almost always, she felt isolated here, felt a certain heaviness, a sense that life was pulling her in a direction she didn't want to go, struggling with who she was, her purpose and existence. But then she found a book, left on the table in the pub she worked at. The title, The Power of Now, a book from Eckhart Tolle. As she began to read the book, it was as if it spoke directly to her soul, offering a way out of her endless cycle of worry and restlessness. Tolle's words gave her hope. You're not your mind, you are the observer of your thoughts. The more she practiced presence, the more everything around her seemed to shimmer, like the edges of reality were dissolving. It began subtly, a sense that the world was fading into something more. Days passed, blending into another, until Isla felt she was losing herself in the stillness. It wasn't peaceful, it was unnerving. One evening, as she sat in her small, dimly lit living room, a strange intensity filled the air. A sudden burst of light flooded the room, blinding her momentarily. Isla blinked against the brilliance, heart pounding. Her first thought was to check the lamps. They were off. No external source seemed responsible. The light was everywhere, inside, outside. It had no clear origin. She breathed deeply, remembering Tolle's teachings. Don't resist, she told herself. This is the now. But the light grew stronger, its intensity unbearable. It wasn't the comforting warmth of sunlight. It was searing, too bright for her to look at, yet inescapable. The walls seemed to fade into nothingness, as though her surroundings were dissolving into pure luminescence. You are not your mind, she repeated in her head, trying to calm herself. Your awareness behind the mind. But then, within the blinding light, she heard it. A soft, almost imperceptible voice. Her body stiffened. It wasn't the gentle inner voice she had grown to use. It was different, louder, more insistent. She opened her eyes, trying to focus, but all she could see was white-hot light, so intense it seemed to vibrate, buzzing at the edge of her perception.
Why are you hiding?
She stood up, disoriented, her eyes watering as the light surged even brighter, swallowing everything. The room around her had vanished, replaced by endless brilliance. She could barely feel the floor beneath her feet. It was as if she was floating in the sea of light.
Why are you resisting the truth?
The voice asked again, louder now, resonating through the air.
The present moment is all there is.
A wave of panic rose in her chest. This wasn't the presence she had sought. This was something else. Something overwhelming. She tried to move, to ground herself, but her body felt distant, as though it was dissolving into the brightness. Then the voice grew closer, filling the room surrounding her.
You cannot escape the light. The light is the truth. It reveals everything.
She squeezed her eyes shut, covering her face with her hands, but the light penetrated her eyelids, her skin, her very being. It was inside her now, shining through her veins, her bones.
You're not real.
The voice whispered, and this time it was coming from within her own mind.
You never were. You are only a fleeting form in the endless now.
Isla's thoughts spiraled as she tried to hold on to something, anything that could anchor her, but the light stripped everything away. Her memories, her sense of self, all seemed to melt in the glow. The village, her childhood, even her name, everything was fading, slipping into oblivion. She screamed, but no sound came out. The light swallowed it, just as it swallowed her.
Let go.
The voice urged.
There is nothing to fear. The light is the light. The light is who you truly are.
Isla tried to remember Toli's words, to cling to the idea of being the Watcher, but the Watcher was dissolving too. She was becoming the light. It flooded every corner of her mind, erasing her identity, her memories, everything that made her, her. The voice was everywhere now, echoing through the endless white void.
You are not separate. There is no sound. Only the light. Only the now.
Inverie remains the same, as it always has. Isolated, untouched by the world beyond. The villagers say they remember a girl named Isla, who simply disappeared one day, leaving behind an empty, perfectly tidy home. Some say she moved to the city, others say that the water or the mountains have claimed her. But those who pass by her house at night sometimes report seeing a strange radiant glow seeping through the cracks of the windows. And sometimes, if you stand very still, you can hear a soft voice calling from within.
Let go. Let go into the light.